Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. And I'm going to invite a few people. We talk about how I figure this thing out. I'm turning the music down just a little bit. But for those that don't know, Sam Cooke, Change Gonna Come, is my theme music. So that's why I always play it at the beginning. So let me invite a few people real quick. And we talk about my story and what I figured out. All right, so give me a couple seconds real quick as I invite a few folks. Old Sam Cooke. Hard living, but I'm afraid to die. All right, hey, I'll keep inviting people while I go along, but right now, I just want to thank you all for joining me, those who have joined me and those who will join me. And just want to just give a shout out and just let you know what I figured out and how I figured it out. Now, I just want to take the opportunity, like I said, to tell my story. And for those of you who don't know, my wife and I promote wealth, wellness, and wine. We like to drink wine. We have a wellness company, and we always strategize on how we can get wealthy and also bring others along with us and help others to get wealthy as well. So that's where the wealth, wellness, and wine come from. And for that, you know, in that strategy, we have turned to network marketing. And oftentimes in presentations, you know, people ask, well, how did you get to network marketing? Anybody, you know, not necessarily in presentations, but a lot of times people ask, you know, how'd you get involved in network marketing? Why did you get involved in network marketing? So that's when I end up, you know, I tell my story and I try to be as transparent as possible. Just to let folks know where I'm coming from and just, you know, let you know I'm real people. So, the story that I typically tell, all right, Sam, we're going to go ahead and shut you down, is I'm a retired Marine Corps pilot. I retired about 5.5 years ago. I served most of my time in Southern California, in Camp Pendleton, California. I met my wife out there in Southern California. We got our first house out there. All of our kids were born in California. And it's where we got our start in California. And my wife had a good job with an investment firm out there. We were doing pretty well. We acquired several properties in Southern California. We acquired a fourplex in DC, a condo in Tampa. So we were actually playing Monopoly with real money, and we were actually winning. You know what I mean? We were doing real well, and that took place. Well, first of all, as our family grew, my wife couldn't maintain the household, the kids, and maintain that job while I was off on deployments consistently. So something had to give. So she turned to real estate at the time. So she was doing pretty well in real estate, as a matter of fact, during that time frame, because that was during the housing boom of the early 2000s, if you know about that. And for those of you who know about that housing boom of the early 2000s, you should also know about that housing crash of 2008. That's when pretty much when we lost it all. All right, so that was a perfect storm of events, because my wife's income, being in real estate, went down. All right, the adjustable rates on the mortgages that we had on our homes went up. So the rates adjusted up, the values went down, so we couldn't refinance the homes, and we couldn't afford to pay the difference on the mortgage and the rent. So we actually had to short sell everything we had. We lost everything. We had to short sell our future. We had to short sell our kids' college tuitions. We had to short sell our nest egg. So at that point, we determined that we would never let any single income stream dictate our financial future. So with real estate being where it was at the time, my wife's income was down quite a bit. We had to turn to some other things. And we tried franchising with a sandwich company, and we got very little support. And we ended up losing that franchise fee and had to go back to square one, which was my Marine Corps salary. And that was it. So that's when we turned to network marketing. And again, a way to make a significant income with a very small initial investment. So that's why we turned to network marketing. And I get that question all the time. But people also mention that, okay, you tell your story, but you kind of started in the middle. You're not telling the whole story. Like, okay, you started when you were already in the Marine Corps. You're already successful. What happened before that? Well, here's some of the things that people may not know about me. All right. I grew up as a only child in a single parent household, just me and mom. I had half brothers and sisters, but it was still just me and mom when I grew up. And I was what was known, I don't know if it's legal now, but what was known as a latchkey kid. I was one of those kids who wore their key around their neck on that silver chain every day at school, and you better not lose that key or you're not getting in the house at night or during the day after school. So I was a latchkey kid, and I spent many days preparing myself for bed, cooking my own dinner, and making sure I was taken care of. And that's where I learned pretty much my sense of independence, because I was that latchkey kid, and I would come home and do a lot of things for myself, because my mom was out working 2 and 3 jobs trying to keep clothes on my back, food in my stomach, and a roof over my head. So she did a lot, and she was making things happen for me. But I learned that sense of independence in that time where I came home and had to do a lot on my own. And I try to instill that in my kids today as well. Many people don't know that about me, but I figured it out, right? So that's where I started learning how to figure it out, how to figure, how to do things, how to accomplish, how to maneuver in life. That was my early lessons in life right there, is how to figure it out. And people don't know that the reason why that it was just me and mom is because my father at the time, and I don't say this for any sympathy or anything like that, but my father was a hardcore heroin addict. So he was not in my life for most of my youth. And he was a heroin addict for most of my youth. And I say most of my youth because many people don't know that he went into recovery in my middle school years. All right. And in my middle school years, he figured it out. Basically, he learned how to kick that habit and get away from that drug habit that he had for a lot of his life. And he figured it out. And so much so that he became a mentor to many recovering addicts in the DC metropolitan area at that time. And he was helping others to figure it out, right? And it was my midway through high school that I made a determination that I wanted to move in with my father between my sophomore and junior years. I moved in with my father because I firmly believe that a growing man needs a male influence in his life. So, and it's not that I had anything against my mom. I do believe that women can raise young men. However, I think that men need that male influence in their life. And I had the opportunity to learn, get that male influence from my father, from someone who, who learned the hard way. You know what I mean? I could learn life's lessons from him and wouldn't have to repeat a lot of the lessons that he had. So I learned a lot from him during that time. I learned so much in meetings, in Narcotics Anonymous meetings that he would go to religiously. I learned about how some people can be on top of the world one day and be rock bottom the next, and how they turned to drugs because they just couldn't figure it out. Right? So those lessons are some of the things that I absorbed and some of the things that I maintained in life that helped me throughout life and helped me to figure it out as I went along. Because, you know, statistically, I wasn't supposed to make it, honestly. So, you know, in my financial situation, the broken home and all that good stuff, I wasn't supposed to be successful. I wasn't supposed to make it. I mean, statistics say I was not supposed to make it. But I figured it out. I wasn't supposed to attend a school like Syracuse University. But I figured it out. Especially in the financial situation that we were in. I mean, with loans, grants, donations, prayers, all that good stuff. I figured it out. I wasn't supposed to fly helicopters and planes in the Marine Corps. But I figured it out. I honestly almost washed out of flight school when I was in flight school. It was hard, and there weren't many people that were in my corner, so to speak. So it made it a little more difficult, but I figured it out. I wasn't supposed to retire from the Marine Corps, and one thing that a lot of people don't know about me is my body was failing towards the end of the Marine Corps. I've had several shoulder surgeries, and towards my latter years in the Marine Corps, I had to, you know, figure out how I was going to make it through those last few years. But I had those surgeries, and you know, I retired. I figured it out, and my family wasn't supposed to bounce back from our financial situation that we had in 2008 so quickly to get to where we are now. But we figured it out. So I say all that to say is, if your why is big enough, if you have something to hold on to big enough, you will figure it out. So my whys happen to be 8 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old, and 21 years old. My kids are my why. That's why I have to figure it out. You know, I can't give up on them. I have to figure it out. So you too can figure it out. If you're in a bind, and if your why is big enough, you'll figure it out. If you're working and your checks are getting smaller and smaller, you'll figure it out. And if you're not getting the support you want, you'll figure it out. If I can figure it out, you can too. So I say all that to be as transparent as possible, because I get questions about why I do what I do and how I got to where I am. And I'm not in any position of prominence right now. I'm a work in progress. So myself and my family, we're works in progress, and we're working to make it day to day, working towards wealth with our wellness company as we sip wine. But I want to thank everyone for joining me, and I just want to let you know I figured it out, and so can you. All right? So again, thanks. Until we meet next time, out.